as an architect, the idea is to put yourself into uncomfortable situations, learn, adapt, and that's the fun, right, about architecture, and that's what the studio is enjoying.
A home is someone's most expensive asset.
Yeah.
Typically, as a human being, one of the most expensive paychecks you'll cut in your life is your home.
Correct.
So for us, we realize that redevelopment is not only a business transaction, it's business for us, but we're going to a point to the consumer which is their most emotional point of their life.
Gaurav, tell me your struggles when you have to convince a developer that the product that you are offering, especially when you have an architect on board.
It's not so difficult actually. If it's an architect, it's a smoother transition. I think if I'm trying to convince a person who's not an architect, I think to kind of show a vision and show that, this is something which is, what I can offer on this particular plot, right?
Today we've done 15 redevelopments. We've delivered about 8 redevelopments. We have another 6 going on and another 6 launching.
The DesignFM, supported by BirlaNu Parador and Asahi India Glass Limited, curated by Eztablish, in association with FOAID.
Welcome to Design FM, the frequency where architecture meets ambition. This is Sakina from Eztablish, and today we are decoding the future of urban living. Joining me in the studio, there are 2 visionaries who literally shaped our skylines. Raheja from Raheja Group and Gaurav Sanghavi from Pentaspace Design Studio. Welcome, gentlemen, on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ram, I want to begin with you. You are the 3rd generation entrepreneur into this huge, legendary, visionary group, Raheja. Tell me, how was the transition into leadership?
So, I wouldn't say transition into leadership. I think we're learning every day. I don't think a single day goes by where we actually don't learn something new in this industry and in this line, if you may say so. There is a great sense of pride that we go by. In sense of pride, when I say pride, I mean there's a great sense of ownership that profit and losses come and go, but your brand value will remain forever. So that's something that has been instilled in us from the time we actually started to grow up and understand what it is that we're doing. So it's very important for us to deliver with the right quality and to deliver on time and to also put our customers first. So that has been our motto, and I just try to continue the same.
That's the 3 things actually when someone proposes redevelopment or vertical living. These are the 3 things that you're always skeptical about.
Yes.
So I think these 3 things you've
yes, that's what we're very conscious about.
Gaurav, tell me about Pentaspace Design Studio, because I know the Pentaspace Design Studio. You're a young, dynamic team. And I know you always used to say, though we are young, you're very mature in the work that you do. And you do large-scale projects. Tell me more about your studio.
Thanks for telling me that we are a young studio. We are already 2 decades into our own practice.
As an architect, you're still young.
That's exactly what.
Yeah.
So as an architect, I think as a studio, it's kind of matured. But as an architect, yes, it's been a great journey. I think it's starting from a garage, doing one project where the developer kind of said that, do you do the structure? आप सलिया लगाते हो? I said, नहीं, हम लोग सलिया नहीं लगाते, हम लोग building design करते हैं. From that point to, I think, where we're doing large scale projects across pan India now. I think we've expanded into Hyderabad, we've expanded into Jaipur. I think we've opened offices pan India now, and I think that is kind of given us that complete outreach in terms of design and also kind of the learnings we're getting from the outside markets. So there are a lot of interesting things which are happening outside Bombay too, and I think that is something where the studio is kind of getting that maturity of dealing with different rules, different regulations, different cultures. Like in Hyderabad, again, Vastu plays a very, very important role. The way they design buildings are completely different. So I had to kind of 6 months, had to kind of de-learn what I knew. I got in relearn that type of planning, and so we kind of doing large scale projects there too. So it's, as an architect, the idea is to put yourself into uncomfortable situations, learn, adapt, and that's the fun, right, about architecture, and that's what the studio is enjoying. So I think we're growing fast, and I think yeah, that's something which is interesting at this point.
Ram, you have done your architecture also, right? You are qualified.
I studied in Chicago. I graduated in 2012. I was working with Ricardo Bofill for a small period, and then moved back to India to join the family business. Yes.
Okay, so tell me, when a new project is initiated, what are the 3 non-negotiables that S. Raheja has on the table? And because you come from the architect space also, the flip side is that if you have a design studio, architectural design studio on board, you know the exact way they think or they operate. A creative
definitely.
bit I wouldn't debate on, but otherwise. So tell me the 3 non-negotiables.
So we have it's difficult to point out 3, but there are, I'll just name some of them. The product and the planning. So I personally believe plan is the real hero. Everything else comes after that. We do not plan for facade before we plan the layout. The layout is everything. The experience, you plan from inside out. So for me, the product and the planning is very important. There are many times where we get offered projects, but if the product is not right, we say, no, sorry, it doesn't work. It's not only about the money and just trying to just rake in just because the market is going great. For us, very conscious on what we build and how we build. So that is something very important for us. And the other non-negotiable for us is transparency. It's very important that everything is upfront and clear. We don't like to go into projects which have anything which has any issues or something that can stall a project. If there's anything gray, we say let our buildings be gray, but our action is black and white.
So then you're actually going against to what the perception of a builder or a developer is, right?
It's
the
a wrong perception.
Yeah, so
It's
you're
a wrong
actually
perception.
working
That perception
and breaking
existed years
earlier.
ago. I don't see after ERA, after everything that the industry has gone through, that is a right perception. The perception should change. I think it's high time that the consumer sees that difference. Back in the day, I agree, there was a lot of stuff going on, but through those periods as well, our family and our parents and grandparents did a lot to make sure that the brand value is maintained to a certain point. And like us, a lot of other good families and developers did. So just because of a few rotten apples doesn't mean that the whole basket is...
No, and I think today's gen that is coming out, I see a lot of these young entrepreneurs and third generation builders in a lot of these families. They are doing the right things with the right time to kind of elevate the brand positioning.
Yes, 100%.
You know, with their work. I mean, I'm not saying brand positioning with their PR skills.
No, with the work.
With the work, and it stands out there.
Eventually, the product is the real hero and there's nothing else.
True.
Right? You can put as many billboards and hoardings up. You can show 20, 100, 500 renderings. But eventually, in 3 years, if you can't deliver the product, you can't go there and be proud of what you built and go and have a cup of coffee with your customer, then I don't think you've built the product right.
True, very true. Gaurav, tell me, once that initial brief translates, how do you translate it into a conceptual direction?
So I think there's always a brief which comes from the client, and we kind of always improvise much more than the brief, because there is a lot. The brief usually comes from their sales or the marketing kind of departments, but as an architect, you kind of get the other nuances into how the plan needs to shape up. Can we do something different in this location? What is it that we can have a USP in this particular project, right? Maybe plan, maybe elevation. As he said, there are different layers to when you kind of start designing. So we kind of think at all these multiple levels and see how we can kind of traverse this, do the initial pitch, and after that it's all negotiation. Because that's the only pure pitch which kind of goes through an architect. And then the layers start coming in. The builder layer comes in, then the licensing layer comes in, then the
nowadays in the redevelopment, your society layer comes in.
The massive society layer comes in. So basically there are a lot of filters
pitches.
Which kind of come in.
They're pitching not only to the builder, first they're pitching to the society.
I saw that happen in the BKC.
Yes.
The Kalanagar, that entire plot. I saw how many pitches were actually going through, and then how that decision came through. Okay, tell me, redevelopment in Indian cities is actually, I feel redevelopment is more difficult than putting up a brand structure, because a building is, in redevelopment, you have to touch a lot of other points, right?
I'm going to go out there and say it. Redevelopment planning is a different PhD.
Yeah.
It is.
No
I
university in the
agree.
world, no
Teaches
architect
it.
school in the world can teach you that. The only way you learn it is on ground. Because and every project is different. Even if you believe you know everything and you've understood everything, every time. No, so today we've done what, 15 redevelopments. We've delivered about 8 redevelopments. We have another 6 going on and another 6 launching.
Wow.
Every time I feel that, okay, I know what I'm doing, but you'll always learn because every time you go out there, because you're dealing with 500 different mindsets.
Exactly.
Even if there are 50 people in a society, 50 into 4, every home is averagely 4 people.
True.
Right? 50 members into 4,
True.
200 heads.
200 heads.
With another 5 people per family advising them. So think about the amount of people you're actually dealing with and the kind of thoughts and ghosts in people's mind that you have to actually deal with and actually understand, for them to actually understand what you want to do with the product and for them to believe that yes, this is right.
Yeah, and also redevelopment into what? You got to redevelop their mindsets more than the product that you're offering.
See,
Because-
honestly, I have to say that people are actually very smart now.
Yeah.
Right? Earlier, people didn't understand a lot of things. They used to blindly believe the developer or the architect or the consultant and say, yeah, okay, they know better.
Yeah.
It's not the
Not
case
now.
anymore. Everyone understands everything. They literally scrutinize the product with a magnifying glass where each inch, each column, each pipeline is checked. We've got consultants that they appoint from their side. There's society PMCs, there's society architects that they appoint because they're cross-checking everything that you're doing. And honestly, it's great. Because tomorrow, it's great that they know and they understand. So the customer, for us, the first step customer is our society.
True.
After the planning of the society levels is the planning of the sale levels. So we have to consciously design the levels below and then the stack of what you want to sell. So most of the time what we're doing in all our projects are Jodi apartments because we want to sell larger apartments because we're focused on the luxury western line of Mumbai. So most of the time the society flats are say 3-bed and we're selling connected 3 beds. So the planning, the columns, the structure, the services have to be all planned in advance based on the fact that the flats are smaller below and they're connecting above.
Yeah, it's a completely
It's
different
completely
ball
different.
game.
It's
It's a
completely
completely different ball game.
And,
Redevelopment. And still we have to maintain the vision which we want to kind of have and kind of marry all of this within that.
And it should not look from an external
it's a
viewpoint
redevelopment project.
that the flats are connected and the
Yes.
flats below are separate.
Yes.
So there's a lot
Yeah,
of,
so that entire structure
that's
needs
when I
to
say that's a different PhD that you can't learn in school.
And tell me, when you have these redevelopment, the people already living there, you're giving them a new lifestyle, okay?
Yeah.
So you're offering them amenities, you're offering them all of that. How open and how do you kind of gauge that, whether that particular, or what is your selling point of that space?
No, so one, there's something that actually happens in most of our redevelopments because everyone's living in an old building that needs redevelopment. So that's why they're going for redevelopment, right?
Correct.
But when they're living in an old building, their outgoings are way, way lower. They're not spending that
Yes.
20 rupees a square foot on outgoings.
True.
Which otherwise per month, now in our new buildings, you're coming in and their outgoings go up drastically. Say for 1,000 square feet, it's 20,000 rupees a month. Where typically they're used to spending, say about 2,000 rupees a month.
Yes,
Right? So
yes.
it's a straight up appreciation
Correct.
into 10x. So there's a difference of a mindset that we actually educate the society and we build in an entire corporate structure. We build in the facility management. We actually take advanced maintenance while the development is happening so that when they come and live in a new building, it's a very smooth transition. That we learned. In my first 2 buildings, we did not do that, which were redeveloped.
Yeah.
We realized that this is a gap. It has to be addressed.
It's a pain point.
It's a pain point.
It's a
And
pain point.
a guy who's buying a great apartment above and coming, he's spending crores of rupees in coming. He wants a certain level of
Yeah.
maintenance,
Luxury
which
and
we're
amenities.
providing.
Yes.
So it has to be maintained right.
Yes.
It has to be. So we educate the societies that this is what it's going to. This is the fund. We're giving you a separate corpus, and we will plan the outgoing for you. And we invest that fund. We keep it with them. We build a society kitty. So it's very important that we do that, and it is happening, and we've done it in the last 5 buildings, and it's been done well.
So that one part is the financial bit.
Yeah.
There's another psychological bit also that the consumer goes through, like, because like you're saying, the society. And just a day-to-day example, I have friends whose parents get very, this with the lifts, okay, the elevators, the basics, right? So they know that, okay, you have to use the buttons and the switches from outside, and then once you go in, you can't change the floor. So the parent gets a little disillusioned that, oh, like, okay, I was on the 19th or 17th. So that bit also you need to handle, right? Psychologically with the consumer.
So that happens, right?
There are too many touch points.
There are too many touch points. Psychologically, if someone, now it's a very emotional thing, right? A home is someone's most expensive asset.
Yeah.
Typically, as a human being, one of the most expensive paychecks you'll cut in your life is your home.
Correct.
So for us, we realize that redevelopment is not only a business transaction, it's business for us, but we're going to a point to the consumer which is their most emotional point of their life.
Right.
Maybe for succession, because they're developing. Most of the clients, a lot of them are senior citizens, they don't want to develop.
Yeah.
They're very, very content. They're saying, you know what, I'm living happily, I'm a content person, I don't want to move out at say 75, 80, right? But they're like, you know, it just makes sense. We're leaving a better asset for our family, we want to upgrade our lifestyle. So there are some members who are happy and forthcoming that yes, we want to do this, but we have to do it with sensitivity, and
Yes.
I think your hands have to have a soft glove. You can't do it in a rush. That's why a lot of time redevelopment takes time, right? They have to understand everything. They have to be satisfied mentally before you reach that stage of
Convinced, actually convinced, basically.
They have to be mentally convinced, and that's the right way, I feel.
Gaurav, tell me your struggles when you have to convince a developer that the product that you are offering, especially when you have an architect on board. Tell me the flip side of it.
A lot of fights.
I want to hear that.
No, but I think it's not so difficult actually. If it's an architect, it's a smoother transition. I think if I'm trying to convince a person who's not an architect, I think to kind of show a vision and show that, you know, this is something which is, you know, what I can offer on this particular plot, right? It is a little more challenging for a person who's not an architect. In fact, with him, it was much easier. But the nuances, kind of the detailing which kind of he demands becomes an alpha which the other person doesn't demand. So it's like a trade-off, right? It's something which he understands and he pushes that envelope. Whereas here I'm pushing his envelope to kind of upgrade. So it's very different.
Balance,
You know, you kind of dealing with a different person there, and here he's a typical developer. Right? He needs the maths, he needs the alpha, construction to this ratio, this to this ratio, this to this ratio. Within that, whatever you want to do, you are welcome. Whereas with him, it is not the ratios, it is the product, right?
Yeah.
So it's every developer has a different kind of a mindset.
Yeah.
And then you kind of gauge and then you kind of deliver accordingly.
Tell me, we spoke about luxury homes and all of that. Now, there's something called the affordable housing also,
Yes.
okay, which Gaurav, I know you're doing and addressing large-scale affordable housing. Tell me more on that.
I think affordable housing is something which luxuries picked up post-COVID.
Yeah.
I think it's become a very, very big segment. But I feel still the maximum work which really needs architecturally, which you need to kind of do, is in the affordable segment. Because that is, you know, they can get uplifted by better architecture. They can, with better planning.
Yeah.
Right? Luxury is a different segment, right? It's an endless curve, right? What is luxury? You know, so it kind of, but for them, a good plan, a good 2 BHK, 1 BHK, a studio apartment, if you plan it well, you don't waste the corridor spaces, you make sure that, you know, every square foot is given within their livable space. That's a different kind of luxury for them.
It's amazing. I don't see any more 2 BHKs and 1 BHK ever, because everybody is hitting the luxury segment. So very seldom do I see a 2 BHK and 1 BHK being offered.
It just depends neighborhood to neighborhood, micro market to micro market. Now, for example, we're launching something in Versova, which our plan, we've got 2 and 3, and we're offering the option of the Jodi. So we're giving the option to the client, whether we get a client which requires a smaller unit. So luxury is again a perspective, right?
Exactly.
Back in the day, families were all together, and typically if you look at most homes, every 2,000 square feet would be used by about 6 people. Typically. So like a parent, maybe 2 kids,
Yeah,
or
and their
maybe
families,
or
yeah.
maybe a grandparent, whichever way. There were 6 people in a home. Now that same home requires 2,000, 2,000, 2,000 in the same micro market. They want to be close by, they want to be together, but they yet want to be nuclear in terms of their home. Maybe their businesses are together, all that is
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
But after the consumer requirement, post-COVID, you may say, or in the recent times, you realize that everyone wants their own space. So there are a lot of also demand for smaller units in luxury areas, maybe not sprawling ones. So that actually is, there is an option for that. So we give the option today to connect the unit or to sell them separately. So we're actually offering both in most of our developments.
Okay. But tell me that since you spoke of the new gen coming in, this is the new gen that has a rather a high income bracket, and everybody looks at new structures, new amenities and stuff. So like you said, luxury is a perspective. Where does luxury end? What do you think is the next offer that you can have to say, oh, this is even more luxurious? Like people coming from old homes, like old buildings, like having a swimming pool next door, not going to the club in your vicinity, that was luxury. That has moved to having a spa, having a salon, having a baby care within
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So where do you think luxury is like, okay, at its peak?
So-
Are we already there?
No. So luxury will keep evolving, right? Luxury as a statement in general will keep evolving and has already evolved even from 2020 to now. It's evolved.
True.
Right? Having a nice car, having a nice watch today is not considered luxury anymore in certain circles, but going to exclusive events is considered luxury, right? So at every strata, there is a different concept of luxury. Right?
Correct.
So that will keep evolving and that will keep changing.
And it's individualistic also.
Yeah, it's very individualistic.
It's very
individual. So I get 2 types of buyers, right? I'll give you an example of our projects. We've got a community living, right, which is say for Khar Bandra, it's say 2 lakh square feet, gym, garden, swimming pool, banquet, 80 families in terms of units, 80 units in the development. A lot of times those units are bought by one family is bought 4 units, so maybe the families become 50. But that's a larger scale development for the neighborhood where you've got all amenities, right? And then there are some buildings which are more boutique with maybe just 1 infinity pool on the roof, 1 gym,
Yeah.
and lesser members, say about 15 members in the building. There are some buyers who say, no, we don't want the larger one. We want to go to the smaller development because we don't want to be living in a community. We want our privacy, we want less.
True.
So, but there are some buyers that come, no matter what, I want all the amenities. I want to change my home because I want amenities.
Right.
So again, as he said, it's individual.
Individual.
It's very
No,
individualistic.
but as he rightly said about the apartments within a complex, but there are societies also wanting lesser density on their plot.
Yeah.
That is also there.
All our buildings. All our buildings.
Lot of buildings, right? So some developers are giving an alpha in terms of
Yeah.
floor space index.
Yeah.
But there are some societies saying no, we don't want so many people coming
Density
on
per
to
square foot.
Density, yeah.
we want just this much. So there is a lot of options available now, and I think people are, as he said rightly, the less is more basically.
No, but tell me that, we are getting into
It is that
community living. Okay. Do you actually think this is community living? Because community living is what at least I understood of is a community. What is a community? People together being in their own spaces, but there is togetherness. Today's structures don't offer actual community. I may not even know my neighbor who stays next door
Yeah, true.
till there's a party thrown.
But again, as I said, it's so individualistic. A community here. So for Bombay, this is the maximum community you'll have living in a building because we're in a city like Bombay, which is running on adrenaline. We have everyone's working, everyone's up, everyone's on the go. The maximum you'll interact with people is in your gym
Or in the
your
lift.
elevator or in a say if there's a cafe in the building
Yeah,
or a pool
yeah,
or whatever.
true.
So that has and maybe on Diwali where they
Yes.
have one Diwali party where you
Party.
meet everyone.
True.
But for Bombay, that is community, right? I don't see for Bombay that changing. Whether that community is in BKC, whether that community is in Bandra, whether it's in South Bombay, whether it's in Andheri, because everyone's busy, everyone's on the go. Of course, then if you have certain communities which are designed and focused around senior citizens and all, that's different.
So that's
Right,
what
but
I
there's
was
time.
coming to, that certain areas have different mindsets. Okay, like I'm from Cuff Parade. It's a very slow moving area. Okay, like most of the banks.
Until redevelopment starts.
I hope. not, because
will be
as
other.
of now it's so peaceful, and they are housing lots where kids are abroad, parents are staying in those old buildings, and like you said, they don't want to move out. And then when we come to Lower Parel, Worli, it is the hustle bustle where 10 cars in a fraction of a second are getting out, because each homeowner has 3 cars. And is our infrastructure supportive of all these buildings that are coming up?
So the
always
goal,
catch up.
the work going on is extensive by the government, as you can see around you, and it's needed. We need an upgrade on infrastructure, and we're doing it. The government is very, very active on that upgrade. Hopefully it comes up with the same speed that the development is coming up.
It will never.
But I don't think
It's a
the
catch-up.
balance is right.
It's always a catch up. I always seen it's always a catch up. Be the airport, it's a catch up. Be the sea coastal road, is a catch up. It's always a catch up game. Which
Because
the
I'll tell you
government is
what, and that's maybe a common man's observation. They give you better roads, they give you broader roads, but then there are 10 towers that have come up.
So,
Initially, there were 3 towers, and those broader roads would have been a smooth sail.
so the master planning is very important, right? Again, this goes back to the planning of an urban infrastructure. The master plan has to be done with a vision of 50 to 60 years ahead, not of today's requirement. That's the
Key.
That's the
in
gap, actually.
That's also a gap that is being created, but I feel today's developments are catching up. Like if you look at the coastal road, you look at the links that are coming up, the Sivri Navi Mumbai road,
Borivali Thane.
everything. So there is a lot of infrastructure development. We also need to do a lot of infrastructure work underground, like your sewer systems. All that also has to upgrade. So that also is on. So I think the government is on it.
So when
Right.
you have these redevelopment projects that you're doing, okay, like half the old buildings don't get enough water. Okay, there are always water and solar stuff. So you bring into systems all
We
of.
have from waste management being done in the building, separation of wet and dry waste. We've got compost systems in the building. We have solar panels, rainwater harvesting. We're doing all those things. Again, it depends on what level you want to. It again depends on that community then. Right? I can provide the best.
Yeah,
However,
how much
all
are you
the-
ready to take in?
How much are you gonna actually use
and maintain.
and make sure it's used and well maintained?
Yeah, that is the key.
And a lot of community, a lot of societies do. I have to say that it's not that we do it and then they put their hands up. A lot of societies
No,
do.
it's changing. The trend is changing.
Because I think there is this young generation also that is
Which is
coming, which is
conscious.
responsible,
Conscious.
which understands how things work. Like, I know my team is full of the young gen, and they actually turn around and say that we don't want kids because what of the world is left to offer them? So
That's another
That's
topic.
a different
but,
extreme.
But what I'm
That's
saying
a
is they're
completely
conscious,
different.
right? They're conscious of what is happening around.
Yeah.
So like you said, this sustainability is another myth.
Yeah.
How do developers use it?
No, it's not a myth. I think
It's a myth
sustainability-
as each one has a different definition to it.
No, I agree. I mean, see, that's a much more broader perspective.
No, but I think
from
everybody
real estate.
contributes a little, right? At a developer level.
As a developer level, we have to do our bit
Yeah.
towards the sustainability, towards our developments. Now, for example, if you come to any of our buildings, and if you actually walk through even something like our parking lots, we've done greenery on the entire face. So literally the cooling that you have sitting in that open space, which has got no air conditioning,
Yeah,
no nothing,
parking lot.
is way cooler than the temperature outside.
Oh, nice.
Because it has to be well planned, and as I said, plan is the real hero. We run sun path analysis. We actually see where the light is hitting, so the shading can be done right. If stuff like that is been looked after and has been done at the planning level, your building will perform way more efficiently with the amount of usage of air conditioning, with the amount of where the solar panel is placed. Does it get the enough amount of sunlight to actually generate and
Yeah.
be useful? Now, if you put a solar panel in the wrong location,
It's
you
not
manage
helping.
solar dhala. It's useless.
Not helping, yeah.
So I think whatever you do as a developer, for us, we have to consciously plan it out. Then once we hand over to a society, the community has to be conscious enough to
take
do
that
it right.
further, yeah.
That we can't do unless it's a pre-owned asset and leased out. Then that's where most of the LEED certifications and all you see in commercial buildings.
Yeah, because they are managed, right?
Yeah.
Because they're
Completely
properly
and-
managed.
Yeah, properly
So now we're making sure that even our residential developments are facility managed and we do all that processes right.
Gaurav, you tell me that architecturally, how satisfied are you with your design perspective of the way redevelopment and the way these urban structures are coming up?
Honestly, according to me, I don't think this is the right way forward. I think the redevelopment as a tool is amazing, but I'm not sure if we are using it in the right way. There are a lot of these rules which I kind of, lot of times I debate. Like a basic rule, I'll tell you, which I think Ram also would kind of can add on to it. There is an RG rule which is there, where you have to give 15% or 20% RG, right? But it has to be on Mother Earth, right? The flaw in this rule is that you can't have it anywhere on the podium, you can't have it there, right? So you end up putting it in the most negative area of your plot, because you need efficiency in your podium and you need efficiency in your basement. Right?
Yeah.
If I was, wanting to change this particular rule, I would have it in the front towards the road, because that will give me a pathway to walk, a green cover on my street, which if you see the streetscapes, they are getting completely hammered by redevelopment at this point.
Yeah.
Right? I see these different podiums, it's kind of, I don't think architecturally we are really adding to the city at this point. We are taking away a lot at this point. But this simple rule of this 15-20% RG, if we kind of put it in the front open space, have a nice dedicated streetscape, which we kind of design, as and when buildings are kind of getting developed. Why are we not doing that, right? So there are so many of these smaller rules which are there, but we just follow it because we have to follow it. Nobody is questioning it, but we can actually add value to the city.
No, that's a great point, Gaurav, that you can actually plan that RG in a much better way. At our level, we go way higher than the 15-20% because we like to create a lot of landscaping. So that crosses it. But for all developments, if it's made as rule, it's a great idea that it will
kind
make
of
your
create
neighborhoods. The good part is, like, honestly, when I have any international person in Bombay or we are driving through a street, one common comment you'll get from everyone is, "Wow, your trees are amazing."
True.
We have such beautiful trees in our city that most cities internationally don't.
True.
If it is well maintained and that continues without actually planning it properly, will be a big difference.
So even if you see, like, I'm from Juhu, right? Juhu was again a bungalow scheme.
Yeah.
A beautiful neighborhood, proper streetscape, pedestrian, landscape. It's kind of completely disintegrated to this redevelopment. Of course, amazing buildings, good architecture, but that is subsequent, right? At the road level, neighborhood level, I don't think we are kind of still reaching that point with the weapon which we have called redevelopment. We can change the city's future, but just now the way we are doing it, it's going to be a liability for the future.
Because I think we're just focusing on pockets.
Yes.
Nobody is looking at the larger picture.
Yes.
As as a whole.
So see,
like everybody is doing Juhu,
so
Bandra.
we want to do a good building, right? But there are many good buildings which have to be done, and that has to kind of at least connect at a canvas level. Of course, he will have his identity, a next developer will have his identity, but not at a streetscape, right? Streetscape is where the common man kind of walks. That experience is completely getting torn apart.
Yeah, because like you said, if you come out of your Porsche or that building space, you're bang on, you're on the actual, and then you realize that, oh, what an approach to it. So that is something that we need to take into mind.
I feel redevelopment needs to become better in terms of rules, regulations. Yes, it's the most amazing way to regenerate a city, and I think it's the most unique city which we are in, because I don't think something like this is happening anywhere.
Redevelopment is a different economy that is created in Bombay.
Yes.
No other city in the world.
At what scale?
There's no one coming to you in a city in America or in, say, Australia or in any part of the world, in Europe, saying that, you know what, you're living in a 2-bed, I'll make it a 3-bed, I'll give you rent to go live outside, and I'll give you corpus to maintain it. It doesn't
Nobody
exist.
does it.
It
Very
doesn't
true,
exist.
very
It is a unique model in itself that is unique to Mumbai, and some parts in India now are catching up on it. But it is Mumbai's innovation, right?
True, very
true. It is the city's innovation.
Very true.
And it's something that the community, and it takes everyone with it, right? So at a macro level, it's fabulous.
Yes.
What's happening. At the micro level, we're all conscious of what we're building, but if, as Gaurav said, if you make it a rule, then it'll make sure that everyone's conscious.
Yes, I think that's the initiative, like we need to kind of push. So that is something which hopefully, let's see.
Ram, tell me, does good design result to good value?
Oh,
But from the consumer point of view.
100%.
Yeah?
100%. Build the right product, you can command whatever price you want.
But
as long as
product-
you know what you're building, and I'm purely demand supply, right? And if
Yeah.
you build the right product in the right location with a certain aesthetic, and you, for example, a construction cost can range between 5,000 to 20,000 rupees a square feet, right? There is a buyer for everything in Bombay, as they say, for years. But today that is different. Today, even a 2 crore home buyer and a 50 crore home buyer has expectations.
True.
Even if it's 2 crores, he's not compromising in buying the home, right? He wants a good product.
Yeah.
So product has value, whether you're building affordable housing in Bombay's context of affordable, or whether you're building ultra luxury,
Yes.
the product will have premium and value.
And tell me,
That's
how
why in
do
Bombay, if you see, there are products across the road, different rate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Why?
I
Because
agree.
it's the product's rate.
Product.
It is not about the location. Within Bandra itself, from location and product, from the station, if you actually take with the way a crow flies, all the way down to Carter Road, from Bandra station, how much is the distance, do you know? Have you ever checked it?
No.
Say 1 kilometer, 1.5,
Half.
maximum 2
Yeah,
kilometers.
yeah.
Right? Maybe from that main junction to them is 1.5, 2 kilometers. The rate ranges from 40,000 to 2 lakh.
Yes.
40,000 to 2 lakh. There's no logic,
Yeah, true.
right? But there is a logic.
Because of the
There is
design.
a lot of logic.
Yeah.
Product,
and the amenities,
location,
product, yeah.
and a combination of both can command the right price.
Yes.
Also, I believe, views of the city also
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
100%.
pricing
vantage views.
factor.
Yes,
yeah,
yes, it does.
100%.
like I know a lot of consumers who are like, oh, we will only be on the higher floors because otherwise all you can see is only other construction work going
You have two things. I actually believe in Bombay, either the lower floors or the upper floors have great value. Lower floors because of your tree line,
Yes.
higher
Yes.
floors because of your skyline.
Skyline.
The middle floors,
You see
land up,
buildings.
you land up seeing buildings in Bombay. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the fact of Bombay that you can't
True,
change.
true. You can't change. Very
Yeah.
true, very true. And also the unpredictability. I may buy right now a space which gives me the sea view, but within 3 years, it may go off.
Coastal road.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's still beautiful and great for the city.
beautiful. Yeah, and it's
one thing
super
that
facilitating.
we're actually building 4 sites around some heritage churches, some
Really?
parks, which then we can say yes, this view is not going,
Oh, lovely.
and that again
that's-
that commands a premium.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So when you pick your projects, this all now, I think these are some. This is
You
the
must- you
evolving.
must, because the market is changing and it keeps changing.
Perfect. Okay, tell me, how do you balance speed and quality? Because you gave me like, okay, we finish a project in
3 years
2.5
typically
years,
for
3
us,
years,
yeah.
2.5 years. So how do you balance speed and quality?
So as long as it's perfectly planned in advance. Now, for example, recently a commercial project that we're doing, we've got BIM softwares in. We're running the entire services, the structure, the detailing all on day one, making sure that the details are out in advance. The contractors are given the right amount of equipment in terms of the fuel that they need, which is whether it's cash flow, whether it's the infrastructure, whether it's the right detailing and the drawing to make sure it's delivered in the right amount of time with the right amount of quality. So that is,
Yeah, that's the
I mean, not right
mark
amount of quality, but with the right
Right
quality of
quality, yeah.
construction that they will be doing for you.
Front end, not like stage wise. So
Yeah.
which kind of
Back in the day,
Yeah.
it used to come one by one. This drawing comes, and that it doesn't work
Work that way
Then
Now
you
it's
can't do a
changed.
product.
No, you can't.
You can't do that. You can't do quality and timeline if
Correct.
you're going to be doing that. It's not possible.
Yeah. That's a multi-dimensional thing that you got to operate with.
And software is helping today in all this, right?
Yes.
Today, whether we're using BIM softwares, we're using Revit, you're using softwares which actually enable you to work at a much faster pace, and that's how construction is where it's moving towards.
It's moving.
Okay, guys, I'm going to ask you some rapid fire questions.
Sure.
Okay. I'll start with you, Gaurav. One common mistake in redevelopment projects.
Don't say yes to everything.
Ram?
Oh, one is too tough for me. One common mistake in redevelopment projects is I live this, breathe this. I can't give you one mistake. There are too many. Give him whatever hamper you're giving.
Not even anyone?
It's too many
Okay, give me the first one
many,
that comes to your head.
mistakes in redevelopment. From whose perspective? Developer or society?
Developer. You from developers for sure.
From a developer's perspective, yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
He wants to be politically
Biggest,
correct.
yeah,
I'm not going to
okay.
say it.
Biggest
I have too many redevelopments going on to answer this.
biggest misconception between architects and developers.
Ask him that.
I'll ask both of you that.
It's a love and hate relationship. So when it's in concept stage, it's a love relationship. When it goes to design development, it is like okay. And in construction stage, we are
Block
sleeping
me.
on different beds.
Block me.
And then again, we are in love in concept. So it kind of moves. It's
Yeah,
very dynamic and it's amazing.
Okay, Ram, one design element that every home must have.
Right lighting.
Right landscape, I would say.
Nice. One thing you'd stop doing in real estate immediately.
One thing I would stop doing. No, I love everything I do. I wouldn't stop.
Stop seeing the prices go up.
One amenity that never goes out of demand.
A gym, lifestyle. Today, fitness and health is moving, but it's always been there.
Yeah.
I think access to a good gym in your building, I think is never going to go out of demand.
A walking track.
Same with fitness and
It
wellness.
is. Like whenever you present, they will say,
Yeah.
do we have a continuous walking track? And we'll be like,
Yeah.
yes, we do.
Oh, super. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here.
Thank you.
And hope
Thank
you guys
you.
had
Thank
a good
you very
time.
much.
It was very nice.
Yes, thank you very much.